At the very least, wearing a pair of snowshoes like that, I think the wildlife will fear us rather than the other way around. Friends, welcome back to another Spruce Stomper adventure. In this hand, the old Costco snowshoe, and in this hand, a piece of Canadian heritage. So what exactly am I hanging on to here? Just a quick bit of history before we dive into the trekking. This is a Canadian forestry style snowshoe that was purpose built for hand fallers, loggers, surveyors, and foresters alike back in the day before machinery took over. This is commonly known as a bear paw style snowshoe. You may have heard of that, but this particular model, which is the largest spike version that I have, we fondly refer to it as the Cougar. Now, what exactly makes this snowshoe unique? Well, I'll show you in real time here, but essentially, one, the shape, the sturdiness, the heavy duty nylon webbing. This is solid aluminum frame, not like the hollow whatnot you'd get from the box store. You could actually zip this with a chainsaw while a guy was out falling and still continue on for the rest of the day. Now, the real primary purpose is the safety oriented design that allows the user to go backwards, forwards, and side to side, unlike a traditional snowshoe that hinges at the toe. Now, good for work, but is it good for pleasure? I've had feedback that they're rugged, so let's learn for ourselves. Now, I'll pretend I'm in a position where I have to evacuate to the side or backwards in a big hurry. Well, it's doable. Oh. All right, well, not exactly not awkward. Backwards, I think, is gonna be the real trick here. This is pretty good because it's on the hard pack. If I had to retreat uphill, well, let's try that again. See, the heel digs in. See that, because the back, as soon as I lift my foot, it flops down, right? So we give her again here. Now, if I just go slow, you know, of course, if you did things in slow motion, it's like any task, well, I could easily move away. But if you had to do it quickly, like maneuverability, last fella I talked to, he sent me some photos, is that they wore these bear claw style on a sheep hunting expedition. Well, when you're in hunting mode, you probably want to be focused more on the hunt and not so much on your feet. So let's try this again here. If I had to do it real fast, get out of something's way, tree's gonna fall on me or something. You know, I'm giving it an honest try here. I actually kind of pride myself on I'm fairly agile for construction and whatnot. And I kind of like that about myself. So I'd like to make that work for you, but I think all it's going to do is wreck the snowshoe. They're like, well, as you'd expect, they're about the grippiest thing I've ever put on. You would not want to catch your leg with those at all. They're lightweight, they're a good distance apart. You can do that. Number one would be flotation. Those are way bigger, but they're also skinnier. This isn't the best snow for flotation test, but let's see. I only sunk just past the frames with the big ones on. So let's see what these ones look like. Both the same. I mean, there's a good crust, eh? Like, see, there's a good crust of snow, but I mean, these are decent. They don't slide around. See how they don't hinge? Like, if I bring my foot up, the whole thing goes the same direction as my foot. No flip. Like, that's why these are shorter. If they were 3 feet long, you could imagine a 3 foot long shoe, you're trying to go like this. Well, the tip wants to catch. I do feel the nose a little bit. The pressure is this, your foot wants to push the nose into the ground, but that's why they're curled up like that. Well, I can't do that in those. All right, so these are 21 inches long and 11 3/4, just shy of 12 inches wide. And they're listed for guys up to about 210 pounds. But I mean, really, the weight thing is just kind of a loose rule of thumb. The other ones are about 16 inches long. They're called a Wolverine. They're closer to a square than a rectangle. But I think as long as the snow conditions are decent, even in powder, I don't know, but I mean, how do you? Pretty tough to beat that. The other thing I noticed is that they didn't loosen. They didn't loosen up some ones, those, and they're good too. I mean, Outbound, it says. They're just a regular old Costco or Atmosphere, you know, one of these outdoor store snowshoes. They have rubber straps. Those ones don't come loose. They kind of look like this, rubber, but they do break. I either break the straps because I like to suck them down real tight, or the last two sets I had, I broke the frame because the frame is hollow. And I got in between two logs kind of deal or something like that and torqued it. But anyways, well, that's enough of that. The point was to get out and hit the trail. I found this unit at one point, I don't know, it's got to be like 10 years ago. A friend of mine showed me paracord, and I mean, you probably think spruce stomp, you've never heard of paracord before. Holy moly, I thought I had found the hobby of a lifetime, eh? So I bought a bunch of paracord and made keychains, and I made all kinds. I'm like that, one thing to the next. Professional dilettante, they call that. Dilettante is somebody that is very enthusiastic about beginning things, but sometimes forgetting to finish or fully engage in the hobby. So within this, to my recollection, I made a few of them, is it's kind of a survival deal. There's a knife in there and everything you'd need to start a fire if you were so inclined. So let's take this on our hike and to see if we can't just enjoy the day. These are ideal conditions for being out. Crust is good. A lot of moose action back here. These are old tracks, but they got quite a bit of spots back there that are beaten right down. Word through the neighborhood is a nice big bull wandering around. Well, I'll tell you this for free. I really like those. They're wicked sharp and replaceable too. Not that I don't think you'd ever replace them. They're super hard. They're hardened steel picks, but you can unscrew them and replace them, or unscrew them and sharpen them, or do whatever you're gonna do. I don't know, they got me, they're so nimble that got me feeling a little bit cocky actually in what I could accomplish in them. If the camera angle looks funny, it's because it is, because well, the tripod is you wedged in a tree branch, so. You can feel them spikes bite right in the wood. Geez, they're giving me a real sense of freedom here. I don't feel entangled. I think what you'd want to do is maybe stick a pair on the snowmobile or something, you know, if you had to. You don't want to walk, but if you had to walk, that'd kind of be the ticket. No moose tracks out here. Gorgeous Douglas fir tree. Look at it. It just stretches to the sky, eh? All right, well here's the butt of the tree. There's one of them shoes I told you. That's 21 inches long, that shoe, and it goes well beyond that. That's got to be over 30 inches at the butt. How old do you think that tree is in the comments? Let me know what you think. Douglas fir, kind of northern BC, that big at the butt. I don't know. It's been here a minute, eh? Seen a couple things. And there, look at that, there, right there. That's about as rare as it gets. That's a pine tree. That's a decent sized pine tree, actually. They're like rare as hen's teeth now, because pine beetle. You want to be careful of that. Bit of a seasonal creek there. You don't want to get wet. Anyways, this is why we come back here. Well, for the scenery and for, well, the steep terrain. Like, it's pretty steep. And I'm curious what these are like on the steep, because they don't hinge at the toe. When them fellas were hunting mountain goat, I might have said sheep earlier. They're goats, but it's steep. So I'm gonna cure my curiosity and we're gonna get right into the thick of it here. All these dips, eh? You gotta be so careful, because look at that. It's full of water. How much water is running, you ask? Listen. Sticker on the high side. I brought something along here that kind of was hoping it would show the perspective of what the terrain is like. So you see that? This, isn't that neat? That's a Fisher Carpenter space pen, but anyways. If we level that, and you can see in behind, this is real scientific. See right there, this line where my thumb is, that's a 45. So if we level that, that's about how steep that is, roughly. It's about 45-degree incline, that hill. So let's try a little side hill in action. We got just enough give to them that it doesn't feel awkward. Oh, it's icy. Got a pretty good bite. Could be some performances affected by how good a shape the guy wearing them is in too, but we won't talk about that. I wonder, oh God, what's happening? There's a hole there. I wonder how many people have filmed themselves going one direction and then forgot, you know, wrapped up in what they're doing or driving or something, and an hour goes by, you're like, oh, nobody went back for the camera. Because remember, when you're in the woods, you shouldn't walk on slippery logs. You slip and get stabbed. I'd say the best part so far, even in all that rugged terrain, they never fell off one time. That isn't something I could say for the store-bought units. It's actually got a lot of flex to it. I don't know if you can see that, but my heel can lift up there a couple inches with the flex and the webbing. Hard to tell, man. 45-degree incline, and that last draw I just hiked up. Well, let's just say I'm not a real seasoned athlete this time of year, so if you made it this far in the video and all you want to see was some trekking on the snowshoes, well, I thank you for watching. But if you're curious what myself of 10 years ago thought would be handy to put in a fire starter kit, well, let's see what kind of damage we can't do. Now, if I remember correctly, the premise of this was kind of a all-in-one safety survival operation. I must have fancied myself a bushcrafter at the time. I'm pretty sure it was just the novelty of the paracord. So it's got a gnarly old knot on the end. I can see that's probably, oh, it's a slip. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's almost a shame to take that apart. Well, I burned the ends over, so I think you gotta get her untied. Well, that's probably wouldn't serve you well in a survival situation. What if you didn't have a pocket knife on you, and the only knife you had was this one inside? Back to the drawing board on that. Go like that. I guess you could chew that off with your teeth like a beaver if you had to. I guess if you were freezing to death, you'd do exactly whatever you had to. And then I think the idea is that this whole thing unravels. Well, the good news is you got lots of rope to do whatever you needed to do with rope, but you worked up such a sweat and it took so long to untie your fire starter that you died anyways. So I would send that note back to myself 10 years ago. I think obviously I was more enthralled with the knot tying than I was the reality of it. All right, so we had the paracord. The cool thing is that was all one piece of paracord, just one solid piece. So obviously we have some tin foil. Now, if memory serves, the idea of the tin foil was to keep everything compact, and so you had a dry place to kind of start building a fire on top of. So I would think you want to delicately open this up. More knots. Did I hate my future self? Is that what's going on here? Well, that was easy. All right, lanyard. That was tucked in there like that. So that's a flint. It's for a fire. And this looks like a brick of fire starter fuel. And that, well, that is a dollar store paring knife. Realistically, why don't we just put it all in? Because what am I going to do with it? We also might want to swift in the pace, because I also didn't bring a headlamp. If my dad is watching this, buddy, I'm sorry. I made him one of these too. I have to apologize in advance. But I guess if you were actually in a situation, it'd be better than nothing. That. Oh, look at that. I thought, look at that. I was thinking ahead. That was inside there. That was in the knife sheath. Like that. Safe and sound. That is the striker for the steel. But you could use the back of the knife too, I guess. Let's use the back of the knife. It's got a big handle on it. We'll just put that stuff there. Oh, that's a good. Did you see that? Uh-oh. Oh no. Where did that go? It ripped it right out. Ladies and gentlemen, if this was the real deal right now, oh, I found it, we'd be dead. I'd have to go to camp and tell everybody, sorry, we're all gonna die now because I lost the fire starter. Oh, and there was a carabiner. See, I got it tucked on my jacket. How are we gonna do this now without pulling this out? Oh, I just gotta be gentle. Well, that works good. Oh, it does. It's like a cotton ball. These, you gotta tear it up a bit first. Oh. Oh, now we're cooking with gas, yeah. I can remember making these too, eh? Just randomly get into stuff. It happens. I was doing it last night too. I was making a book. Not filming it though, just for fun. Like a book, like actually making the book from scratch. Sewing the pages together, gluing it and whatnot. Kind of interesting. Oh man, that works so good. Oh, okay. Don't dink around now. Get them fire. Ooh, careful, Murple. Pretty sad lumber out here. It's wet. Whoop. I don't think it's a life-saving fire. We might have just froze to death. Well, we made it back in one piece. Snowshoes in one piece. And still pinprick sharp. That's not so bad. I enjoyed that little adventure. I just wanted to hit at the end of the video here. Obviously, when you see a product in a YouTube video, you're gonna assume that people are gonna say good things. And that goes no different than when you're watching me. But for what it's worth. If you do see something that I say I would use myself or that I would deem fit to pass on to another person, well, I'm a fellow of my word. So actually handmade, Canadian product, made by the same family that came up with the design and the style since 1985, and we will continue that tradition. As such, the original Canadian logger style snowshoe. Doesn't get more aggressive than that, of course. Where they can be found, if I figure out how to do it, I'll put a link in the description. But mostly, I just appreciate you guys watching. It makes doing the videos worthwhile to know that somebody's getting some enjoyment out of it. And the real takeaway here is I'm actually in better shape than I thought. So as I mentioned, next adventure, we'll see you then.